Hello Procrastinator, Sam here, and today I want to talk a little bit more about Sonic X Shadow Generations. That name will never roll off the tongue the way I want it to. The name Sonic X Shadow Generations. It's like, I just want to just call it like Shadow Generations. Why didn't they just call it Shadow Generations? But yes, I want to talk a little bit more about the game, some of the stuff I may have missed from my first reaction, and some of the stuff I may have discussed with my community on my live streams. And a lot has happened since that initial reaction. Summer Game Fest is going on right now. The demo is out for journalists and certain YouTubers. I know Fidel was able to play the game, and I was able to ask him a question about it, and I do want to discuss that in the video as well. There's a lot I want to talk about, but now that I'm not screaming my head off at the initial trailer, I could give more of my coherent thoughts. And so my thoughts right now is that I'm still really excited for this game. This game is looking to be everything I expected it to be. There were some people like, oh man, the levels are, seem pretty linear. It looks more traditional. I really liked how Frontiers had the open world. And it's like, first off, I expected a traditional experience with this title. This is not a full year Sonic game, if you know what I mean. This is a half Sonic game. This is a meantime B-team game, if that makes sense. A Bowser's Fury, if you will. And that's kind of my thoughts going into this game, and what I expected is this is going to be kind of like Bowser's Fury. But that's not to say you guys won't have anything to look forward to regarding Frontiers. First off, there is one thing I didn't get to talk about in my initial reaction because it wasn't out at that time, but there is open zone aspects in this game. We only have one image of this so far, and it looks like some sort of town that kind of looks like Soliana in a way. And at that point I realized, okay, I think that actually is Soliana. I believe what we're doing here is every single level, because Kingdom Valley comes back, but maybe every single level that comes back will have its own mini little hub world of sorts where you get to do puzzles, maybe some platforming, and maybe that's how you navigate to get to different acts or get to the boss or whatnot. Now that's just me guessing on how it'll be approached. We really don't have any information about this other than that they will be in the game, but based off the screenshot we do see, there really, like, it does look kind of promising. Like, there is platforms, there's rails, I do see a couple ramps in the photo as well, but if you do notice, by the way, there is a lack of like rings, items, and enemies, so I'm wondering if like it's just straight up not done yet. Like, this feels like a really early photo of this world, if you know what I mean. Or maybe as you complete an act, it becomes more alive, like the hub world in Sonic Generations does, but that's more 2D based. But I'm wondering if this will kind of do the same thing the more you do in that zone. But I do want to point out that I could also see platforms and rails from pretty far away in this shot, so I'm wondering if maybe the draw distance problem from Frontiers has been fixed in the engine. We'll have to wait and see, but in the end, we don't know exactly how this will be implemented, so let's go into what we do know, the gameplay. And I'll start with the base game super quickly. There's not much to say here. I have no problems with how the base game looks. Again, this is not a Sonic Colors Ultimate situation. I'm not seeing any major graphical hiccups, errors, or anything like that. I know that there's some really sweaty Sonic fans going in per pixel on like blades of grass or certain things that it's like, yeah, it's a little different here and there, but look, if I'm a longtime Sonic fan and I could look at that and say, yep, that's Sonic Generations and it looks good, honestly, that to me, it does its job. It's running in 4K, it's running at 60 frames per second, and there's no mods needed to get it to that point. Now, I do know for someone like me who have already played Generations a lot on PC with mods, using stuff to enhance the experience already, I'm not really looking forward to this. I've played this game in tandem so many times, so I'm hoping there's a bit more to the base game that I can look forward to. I know we have the adventure skin, but this is mainly, I think, for console players. For console players that want to play Generations on new platforms in HD, 4K, 60 frames per second, this is how you do it. There was one thing we did talk about in the live stream, and it is something that some people mentioned, and I can't unsee it now. Classic Sonic's top quill is like different. It looks slightly bigger. Again, I don't care. Like, it's not a big deal at all. I'm honestly wondering if that's intentional. Like, if they did, I'm wondering, is it to make it closer to Superstars? What was the point of changing the model? That gets me excited though. Maybe they felt the need to update their models. I don't know if there's maybe new physics to their motions, if it's just a bug. I don't know. But with all that said, screw that part of the game. Let's talk about the part we care about, Shadow Generations. See, the name, Shadow Generations, that's so much better. So surprisingly, what we learned from this demo is a lot of the clips we saw of him on the Ark and him running through a radical highway and the like, that is all one big level. Those are not separate levels. That is one big level with seamless transitions to each part of that level. And it looks super cool. The level design is not always going to be my cup of tea. It's not as open and varied, and you know, it's not exactly like Sonic Dream Team where there's so many different pathways, or a game like Frontiers in the open zone. It's not exactly like that. It's more traditional. It's more linear, but linear is fine as long as the gameplay is replayable and fun. That's what matters. There are some that are cool though, tied to Shadow's new Chaos Control powers, where if you press it at a certain time, like you freeze platforms, you can freeze them and run on them. That is super cool, and I actually hope that the game has a lot more stuff like that. But that's also not to say that this game's design is not something that not my cup of tea. There is areas here where my eyes open wide. I'm like, oh my god, like they're doing it. They're doing what I want them to do. Where we have those areas where you have a good amount of choices on where to go. There's a specific room in the demo where you could go straight to the left. There's a rail in the middle, and there's a wall on your right you could go on. I'll put the screenshot up, but there's a lot there, and those aspects is where I feel like the level design really shines, and I love that. This is great, and this is all just to say that the game so far is looking exactly how I expected it to, and it looks to be like a really fun time. And the part that's crazy to me is, again, this is all one giant level. This level takes like 5 to 6 minutes to beat with traditional platforming mechanics without like speed running or doing anything crazy. 5 to 6 minutes. That is a beefy level. That's really good, because again, I think we're all fatigued with the traditional styled levels like this being so short, whether it be in Frontiers or especially Forces. This one level is 5 to 6 Forces levels into one. And I also want to mention too, the graphics for this actually look really good. It obviously is running in 4K 60, which is fantastic that it's running at that. And you could also tell that just the fidelity of everything just looks amazing. You can tell from the trailer too, seeing like Bullet Station in HD was surreal to me. I love Sonic Heroes, and seeing some of my favorite levels that never get represented in HD in the current era, just it looks super cool, and it makes me really want a remake. But it's cool that we get to experience levels that haven't really returned very much, and that's what's great. Whether it be, you know, Final Rush or the Arc levels, whether it be Bullet Station, whether it be Kingdom Valley, I want to see more stuff like that, and I'm so happy this is going into levels that have not returned yet, and I hope there's more. I hope there's a good amount more that they still haven't told us about. The craziest part about this gameplay too, by the way, the fact that it's 5 to 6 minutes long. You go from Final Rush on the Arc to Radical Highway to fighting the Bio Lizard at the end. It's all seamless. It's also labeled as only Act 1 in the demo, which is implying there's an Act 2. There's more to this, and that's great. That is fantastic. In the end, everything is looking fantastic, and I just wanted to come out and just show my support for this game, because it's everything I expected it to be, and it's also just super cool to see that they're clearly having fun again, and they're also messing with stuff that we haven't seen implemented in Sonic, whether it be the seamless transitions, or clearly the focus on more stylized moves. There's one barrel roll animation in this demo that Shadow does that just looks really clean. I know I'm just being such a geek and a nerd talking about like the intricacies of the animation, but as a longtime Sonic fan, this is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm talking about. It's like animating his actual eyebrows, not his eyelids. They're doing that in these cutscenes. They're having these cool cinematic moments where everything just kind of breaks apart due to the chaos powers he has. You have those animated parts that just are super cool, and it's seamless, and that's what I want them to start doing, and to implement that going forward for other Sonic games, to create those moments that are memorable and just eye-opening and awe-opening. Because again, when I look back at the Giganto boss fight in Sonic Frontiers, there's a reason why that stands out. It's just so cool. It was such a cool boss fight. The music, the cinematics at that moment, it's everything people want Sonic to be, that anime shonen stylized character. And while that wasn't perfect, it was a good first step, and it looks like they're really leaning into that, and that's what we like to see. The boss fight with BioLizard looks super cool. Looks like they added to the fight. It's not just exactly how it was in Adventure 2. They have new aspects to it. New music, by the way, too, which also sounded great. I like everything about this game. Looks amazing. It looks fantastic. And I have really no major complaints here. Yeah, I have some of my thoughts that I'm going to reserve until I get the game or see more of. But until then, you guys can expect me to cover more about this game. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the bell, so you guys know when more information comes out. I will definitely talk about it. We'll have a live stream discussion. We had about 2,000 people watching as we were just talking about the gameplay and watching it all together, and that was super fun. So if you want to be part of our community, our giant community, this is one of the best places to be for Sonic the Hedgehog, so stay tuned. So with all that said, Sonic X Shadow Generations looks like everything I want it to be, and now we have to wait and see when we get more information about the game or more gameplay. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I cannot wait for this game, and stay tuned. With all that said, this is Sam signing out. See you later, procrastinators.